Tomatoes are popular today, but that wasn't always the case. Until the mid-1800s, people in the United States and Europe avoided and even feared them. Tomatoes are a member of the nightshade family of plants, which many Europeans historically considered to be toxic. To be fair, eating the leaves and berries of one of the members of this family, Belladonna, will give you hallucinations and delirium if they don't kill you first. Add the strong aroma of the tomato plant itself, and the scandalously red skin and juices, and those not familiar with the tomato's culinary upsides might be forgiven for thinking that it was not fit for human consumption. Early tomato marketing in the US didn't help. A gardener from Massachusetts described them as disgusting sometime in the 1820s. Another chronicler of public opinion estimated that no more than 2% of the population would try that sour trash a second time following initial exposure. It wasn't just that tomato was an acquired taste that the populace hadn't acquired. There was downright terror of tomatoes through the middle of the 19th century. One myth, widely believed in Europe, was that the mere touch of the green tomato worm could result in death. Another myth attributed the deaths of wealthy nobility to their love of tomatoes, nicknaming the fruit poison apples. Actually, the tomato may have played a role in their deaths, as its high acidic content released the lead in their fancy pewter plates and caused lead poisoning. But I doubt a jury of tomatoes' peers would convict it of murder given such extenuating circumstances. And even though these bad raps were inspired by misinformation, that fear around tomatoes and other nightshade plants persisted for a long time. In fact, it still pops up on some alternative nutrition blogs. Nonetheless, tomatoes are the second most widely eaten vegetable in the United States today, losing the crown only to potatoes. However, the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, What We Eat in America, 2005 to 2010, found that most tomatoes were consumed as tomato products, namely as tomato sauce for pasta or as ketchup. So what's the truth about tomatoes? Are tomatoes healthy? Should we be consuming them in such great quantities, or instead are they toxic sour trash that carries deathly worms? Or is the truth more nuanced? Let's find out. Where did tomatoes originate? Tomatoes originated in South and Central America. All the tomatoes we eat today are derived from Solanum pimpinellifolium, nicknamed pimp, at a time when the word didn't conjure images of jewel-handed canes and giant sunglasses. A tiny wild tomato no bigger than a pea. The pimp still grows wild in northern Peru and southern Ecuador. Tomatoes spread globally as the seeds were taken from Mexico and South America to Spain and across Europe, and the tomatoes grown today in the United States and elsewhere are descendants of those European strains. Are tomatoes a fruit or vegetable? While most of the more outlandish myths around tomatoes have been cleared up by now, there's one argument that still remains. Are tomatoes considered a fruit or a vegetable? Often they're referred to as both, but technically, or botanically, they're fruits. Tomatoes are ripened flower ovaries and contain seeds, which are characteristics of fruit. If you've ever seen a tomato grow, it emerges from the same spots where the plant's flowers have bloomed. I'm not sure why this debate is limited to tomatoes. By the way, here's a very non-comprehensive list of vegetables that are botanically speaking also fruits: bell peppers, squash, cucumbers, pumpkins, olives, avocados, and okra. Umbers, pumpkins, olives, avocados, and okra. But to many nutritionists, and in the culinary world, all of the above are treated as vegetables. Tomatoes don't offer the same sweet flavor as most fruits. Their lack of natural sugar content compared to other fruit puts them typically in savory dishes and not desserts. I mean, have you ever had a tomato pie as a sweet treat? I didn't think so. After all, as journalist Miles Kington is quoted as saying, "Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad." So for now, perhaps we can continue to consider tomatoes to be both a fruit and a vegetable, given the characteristics that allow them to fit into both categories. Types of tomatoes. If you look around your local supermarket, it may appear that there are essentially two types of tomatoes, big ones and small ones. But the truth is that in most retail stores, there are at least 10 fresh tomato varieties, ranging from cherry to vine ripened. And when it comes to the varieties available for your home garden, there are over 400 to choose from. Some of the types most commonly seen in grocery stores include grape tomatoes, beefsteak tomatoes, green or red, cherry tomatoes, cocktail tomatoes, Roma tomatoes, heirloom tomatoes, tomatoes on the vine. Typically, tomatoes are green when unripe and become red as they ripen. But they also come in many different colors outside of what you'll find in the grocery store. At some farmers' markets, CSAs, or if growing your own tomatoes, you may come across yellow, orange, pink, green, burgundy, purple, streaked and striped, and brown or practically black tomatoes. And if you're growing them at home, no matter what their color, tomatoes all have the same needs: full sun, fertile soil and water. Tomato nutrition. Regardless of the variety you choose, tomatoes are full of healthy nutrients. They're a great source of potassium and vitamin C and are a hydrating food due to their high moisture content. Tomatoes are also packed with health-promoting antioxidants and phytochemicals, including several beneficial forms of vitamin A such as lutein, zeaxanthin and lycopene. ND-lycopene. Tomatoes are one of the best sources of lycopene, which helps reduce inflammation and is beneficial for conditions related to oxidative stress. Lycopene also appears to have strong anti-cancer properties, particularly in studies with men and prostate cancer. Lycopene may be the most famous antioxidant in tomatoes, but it appears in other red plant foods as well. How much lycopene you can find in any given tomato is anyone's guess. However, one study reported that the amount of lycopene in raw tomatoes is 80 times more. The level of lycopene is directly related to ripeness and increased pH, that is, lower acidity. So the better tasting the fruit, vegetable, the better it probably is for you. To enhance your absorption of lycopene from tomatoes, eat them with some healthy fat. Lycopene is a carotenoid, which is a fat-soluble compound. As such, eating it alongside some fat can help boost its bioavailability for your body. Cultures that serve tomatoes with olive oil or avocados seem to have known this instinctively. Studies tell us that heating tomatoes can increase the amount of lycopene that the body will absorb. By breaking down plant cells that trap the lycopene, purine has this effect as well. According to one study in the Journal of Food Science, the best ways to cook tomatoes and retain as much lycopene as possible are either by using the microwave or the stovetop. 5 health benefits of tomatoes. The health benefits of tomatoes are best seen in their whole food form. In other words, when all their natural nutrients are intact and there's been no high fructose corn syrup, excess sodium, or other unwanted ingredients added to them. In their most natural form, tomatoes may offer the following benefits to your health. Anti-cancer properties. We already established that tomatoes are chock full of antioxidants, which can help protect your cells from oxidative damage that can lead to diseases like cancer. The most studied anti-cancer compound in tomatoes has been lycopene, which, in addition to helping inhibit prostate cancer, may also help to fight gastric cancer. Cardioprotective benefits. It's possible that a tomato a day may help keep the heart doctor away. Research shows that the amount of lycopene circulating in your blood is inversely proportional to the incidence of heart diseases. Why? Lycopene appears to reduce the risk for inflammatory disorders, such as atherosclerosis or the buildup of plaque in your arteries that can lead to a heart attack or stroke. It also modulates cholesterol, which plays a major role in your protection against atherosclerosis and heart disease. Anti-aging benefits. The antioxidants in tomatoes don't just help protect you against chronic diseases. They may also help keep your skin looking younger by preventing photo damage. One 2019 study found that lycopene supplementation resulted in higher blood levels and may have a skin rejuvenating effect on middle-aged people. What's more, one study found that green tomatoes contain a compound called tomatidine, which may improve the efficacy and strength of your cellular signaling, and even extend lifespan. So if you garden, and have some green tomatoes that may not survive the first frost, you can pick them early and maybe live longer. Eye health. That's right. Protecting your eyes isn't just about wearing sunglasses or getting an annual vision exam. You can protect your eyes with what you eat every day, including making tomatoes a part of your regular diet. Tomatoes are high in vitamin C, which is a major structural component of blood vessels and tissues in your eyes. They're also a rich source of vitamin A, which lowers your risk for age-related macular degeneration and is an essential part of rhodopsin, a light-absorbing protein in your retinal receptors. Offers protection against respiratory disorders. Lycopene appears to have a protective effect in respiratory conditions like asthma and COPD, and one study even found that lycopene could suppress airway inflammation in asthma. Other research has suggested that eating antioxidant-rich tomatoes may even help slow the decline of lung function, especially among people with a history of smoking cigarettes who have since quit. Potential downsides to eating tomatoes. Despite all of their wonderful health benefits, tomatoes may also come with a few reasons for some people to avoid them. Allergies and reactions. While tomato allergies are rare, especially ones that can cause severe reactions, they can still happen. According to reports, some possible symptoms of a tomato allergy may include swelling and irritation of the skin, inflammation and runny nose, and abdominal pain. Some people also experience what's called oral allergy syndrome, which is a contact reaction to ingesting certain foods and pollen that can cause your mouth and throat to become itchy. Others may experience latex cross-reactivity after eating tomatoes, as well as bananas, avocado, kiwi, and chestnuts, which is when your immune system overreacts to proteins that are found in natural rubber latex. And if you ever experience symptoms ranging from a stuffy nose to migraine after eating tomatoes, you may have histamine intolerance. Tomatoes have high levels of histamine in them, which can trigger a response we think of as an allergic reaction, although this isn't the same as having an allergy per se. GERD and reflux. Tomatoes are highly acidic, and therefore often considered a trigger food for people with gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, or acid reflux, in which stomach contents flow back up through the esophagus and cause irritation. While this isn't a given, it's something to be aware of if you suffer from these types of conditions. The nightshade controversy. This isn't really a downside, but I want to shed some light on the nightshade controversy. The bottom line is that most people don't really have a problem with the edible members of this family of foods, such as bell peppers, eggplants, potatoes, and tomatoes. While nightshades do contain toxic compounds called alkaloids, particularly one called solanine, they're highly unlikely to contain them in amounts that are dangerous. In fact, most nightshades contain around 2 to 13 milligrams of solanine each. And with a potentially toxic intake of around 400 milligrams, you'd probably have to eat well over 30 tomatoes in one sitting to put yourself at any degree of risk. While most healthy people probably don't need to put much thought into avoiding tomatoes and other nightshades, a few groups may want to steer clear. People with inflammatory bowel diseases may experience intestinal permeability, which could worsen with excessive intake of the fiber in tomatoes. Additionally, some people with autoimmune diseases report feeling fewer symptoms when they avoid nightshades, though most of these are anecdotal and likely depend on the individual. That's the end of the video. On the channel you can find many interesting videos about the benefits and harms of vegetables and fruits, as well as about diseases and ways to treat them. Therefore, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel and click on the bell. We will also be grateful if you like and share the video with your family and friends. See you soon.